So the Beast Monarch was doing Thomas crazy, slamming him on the ground, talking about, "I'm sorry, but I'm starting to feel hungry again." But then a green blast hits him in the face and knocks him backwards, and it's the German hunter pulling up to save him. Now Thomas tells him to run away, like, "You're gonna die." But come on, man, I'm a hunter too, which sounded good until he was next on the menu. But as he was about to take his head off, a set of teeth fly past him, and it's Kaizo flying in, biting him. Now he's still a monarch, so he just destroys him easily, and he withers into a bunch of shadows. But in the midst of them all, Jinwoo was in the cut. Lion's barrage and bonks him on top of the head. Big ass crash, big ass impact. The king has finally arrived. And he says it was true. "I can smell the shadow monarch from that human." That human. As he completely turns into a wolf. Now the rest of the hunters rightfully dip off, but he's just noticing how crazy the killer intent is. And it's not just him. Now he asks how he was able to use the power of a superior being. Like a human body shouldn't be able to withstand that. But then the Frost Monarch pulls up saying the architect probably found a way, since he made a deal with the Shadow Monarch sometime in the past. But then another monarch pulls up, so I'm guessing that means I can eat the human's body. I've always been curious how another monarch would taste. I got something for you. But Jinwoo's just coldly staring them down, or more specifically, the King of Frost that killed the chairman. And we already know this is the King of Beasts, and this is the King of Insects. So they came to jump the shit out of him. So they're all just having this aura standoff, and it's creating a pillar of energy that's going up into the sky. And you know what time it is. Come forth. He expands his shadow domain, and like always, Egress wastes no time. So him and Iron are gonna jump the King of Frost, while Tank and Jima fight the King of Beasts. That's a nice matchup. And then of course Biru's fighting the insect lady. But before they could do anything, bro just ices all over the place, and Jinwoo has to protect himself with his blades. But all of his soldiers are frozen in an instant, and all the monarchs start feeling kinda disrespected. Like, you think you can beat us with these puppets? Like, the Shadow Monarch was one of our greatest, but come on, man, have some respect. But Jinwoo's just like, "Hey, you. Yes, you know who I'm talking to. Regardless of what else happens today, I'm going to make sure you die. If I get nothing else, I will at least get that." He's like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" And summons a bunch of ice golems. And the insect lady turns the hunter's corpses into like insect zombies, and they all spring right at him. Now he tries to talk shit about her using corpses, but come on, Jin, will you do the same shit? One of the ice joints about to step on him, so he just weaves out the way and up its body, and just chops right through its head, but the arms still like try to grab him, so he just dices through that shit too. And now he's going for the King of Frost, but he has to weave out the way because the beast came behind him. Like, they really came to jump the shit out of him. So he's running along with him. He says, "You think you could damage me with a mere piece of metal?" And he slices off his arm and says, "I'm sure I couldn't have if it was just a piece of metal." But then a big ass green arm tries to crush him, so he jumps out the way. And what part of the insect plague ability is this? Why does she have 6 giant arms? And then he just grew his arm back. So yeah, they really came to jump my mans. But finally, Biru breaks out of the ice and starts sprinting towards Jinwoo. "My liege, how dare she lay her hands on my glorious king?" Now they're just surprised he was strong enough to break out. But while he's running towards him, the insect lady tries to stop him. So he knocks her arm away and says, "You crazy bitch." And she's like, "What?" Cause she dead ass made all the insects. She's the mother of all insects. But he sprints over to bow before his king and starts glazing him like they're not in the middle of a war. "Even though you were fighting a superior species, you still weren't pushed back, as expected of my lord. I have never failed to be amazed by your limitless strength." But again, they're in the middle of a battle, and they lock back in like that, tearing the zombies to shreds. But then the green arms attacked him, breaking Biru and attempting to crush Jinwoo. Like 4 of the arms came to slam him in the ground. And it was not an attempt, that shit worked. And they start to rain shards of ice on him, but then he sits up in his gaming chair like, "Nah, fuck that. Now come on, human, how much longer can you withstand our attack?" But while he's talking all that shit, a dagger reaches him. "Bro, I told you already, you're not getting out of here alive." So Jinwoo stabs the King of Frost with a dagger and says, "I already told you, you're not getting out of here alive." Now I know this is not a human talking to a monarch like myself, but Jinwoo just notices stabbing him in the heart is not enough. So he jumps at him and uses his telekinesis to control all the daggers and hit him from different directions at once. But he's just smiling at him because, bro, we did not come here to run the ones. And this counter is gonna be brutal as he just slashes right down his back. Yeah, I bet that shit does feel crazy. So Biru's screaming for him. Shorty's right behind him saying, "I'm Queresha, the monarch of plagues, and I'm the mother of every insect in existence. Even though you're an ungrateful insect who doesn't recognize his mother, I will still embrace you as one of my children." He just kicking his feet like, let me go, as the beast monarch is going to chop his neck. So he starts cussing out the other soldiers like, "Yo, what the hell are y'all doing? Get the fuck up and go help our lord." And and Greed says I will be the one. Huang Dong-soo for the win, I guess. And they can tell that he must have been a strong warrior in his lifetime. Then finally, Egress and Tusk and Iron break out too. Now he's like, that's good and all, but your wound is fatal. Playtime is over. Now hold up, are you talking about this wound? You must have forgot. I got my action replay at all time. Bro had a full restore in his backpack. Then it starts showing all around the world, New York and London, Shanghai and Paris. Everyone's watching as this crazy battle is unfolding. And Thomas is asking bro what's going on. He says, I feel like I'm witnessing the end of the world. Now Egress and Iron are jumping the beast, while Greed and Tusk go for the King of Frost. Now Biru is still just trying to get away from the insect monarch, so she getting pissed like this bastard. But then Jinwoo pulls up behind her, saying the creator told me a prophecy that I will die from the pillar of flame that holds up the world. But what he didn't tell me is whether that pillar would actually fall or not. Getsuga Juja show? He just dices through her head. Now this A-rank hunter is watching, thinking about helping out in some way, but then somebody puts their hand on his shoulder saying just sit back and watch. Now he turns around to shoot this person because who is walking up on me like that? But then it cuts back over to everyone watching because it looks like the battle is nearing its end. Now she tries to attack him with some kind of poison energy thing. He just brushes it off like, I'm impervious to that weak shit. You insolent bastard? No, I'm just blessed. And she just goes right for it, saying I'm gonna rip you into pieces, but then he uses his force to pull her faster, and it's just too strong for her to resist. So he basically just pulled her right into a blender. Slice and dice and everything nice. And she says, so this must be death, a heavy darkness that humbles even us who were created from darkness. How brilliant this darkness is. And she just fades into nothing. So he killed one of the monarchs and goes up 3 levels, and bro's just confused because how is he manifesting this much of the Shadow Monarch's power? So it looks like we're gonna experience it again. The fear towards one of the strongest monarchs that ruled the universe. The universe? Jinwoo Universal? But the beast says don't be afraid because he's exhausted. And the fact that he's relying on these shadows shows that he's still incomplete. And an incomplete monarch cannot beat true monarchs. Then he starts like crushing Biru into nothing. So he tries to withdraw his shadow because he can feel him being extinguished, but the system says he can't. So he has to run up on him and send him flying to save him. Like we really almost lost Biru for good. He tells the King of Beasts that he's right, as he changes the landscape with this ice shit again. Human, it seems like you are overly confident in your powers, which don't even have an owner. If you're controlling puppets like these, we can simply cut the strings so you can't control them anymore. And I'll trap them with my authority, forcing them to be healed and resurrected over and over. And your soldiers will be nothing but parasites eating away at your mana. So now what are you gonna do? As he thrusts with the trident. Come on, human, what you got? And he slashes him in the shoulder. And I gotta give respect to this Monarch of Frost, like he's actually a solid villain for the story. And he raises him up in the air before trying to slam him back down to the ground. He was slick enough to get out of there and goes right for the head, but he hits the Matrix and counters right back with the staff body shot, and it sends him flying through the air. Now he's able to catch himself, but he can tell that he's using up a lot of his mana. So I'm gonna put an end to this quickly. Now even though Jinwoo was putting up a good fight, the Monarch of Frost is kinda like that. He fast as shit and he counters sharp as hell, and he can tell that Jinwoo's using up a lot of his mana, so I'm not gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna end this quickly. So he goes to run down on it, and the exchange is tough, like this shit is gonna be so cold. And now he can truly see his movements. All he has to do is go a little bit faster. He says, I don't know what you're plotting, but it's no use, and pulls 2 giant scythes out of his ass. So he goes for the kill, but Jinwoo's gone. Hit him with the flash step and got behind him, but as he's about to swing, bro just turns around and smiles, and everybody's just shook cause he forgot they was jumping him. We see the beast's claws going through his chest. He says, I guess you're nothing without that speed you're so confident in. And he just coughs up a whole lot of blood. Now he drops his daggers to try and focus on healing, but then he just stabs him again, saying, here's your weapon back. Now come on, can you heal like you did earlier? Nah, probably not, cause you're still not a complete monarch. Is this as far as you go, human? If that is the case, then you will not be able to witness it. The moment our armies set foot in this world, there will be a mountain of human corpses, and their blood will form endless rivers. As for this country you grew up in, it's gonna be different, and it shows everybody's watching on TV. It says, I shall personally freeze every single human in this country myself and make them suffer through an eternal agony. We'll have to live through an eternity not being able to live or die. Show me your endless contempt for me within your death. That will also be a part of my joy. I gotta give it to the Frost Monarch. He's actually a good villain. Jinwoo's just like, come on, a little more. Just a little more. But the system says his health has reached 0. The player has died. And then it starts to glitch. It says the player is in possession of the Black Heart. He just awakened an unknown passive skill. At first it was grayed out, and now the shit starts glowing. Then it gets brighter and brighter till the whole screen is just white. Jin-Woo wakes up in the hospital. Of course, he's grabbing his chest and sweating. He just got impaled. He remembers this whole thing, but now he's just confused. Like, was it all a dream? He's still just looking around the hospital room because he has no clue how he survived. But then Woo Jin walks in asking, have you come to your senses? He's like, oh shit, and addresses him as the chairman. Or what happened to those monarchs and the monsters? And how am I still alive? He just has a blank look on his face like, what? Alright, there are 3 things I gotta tell you. 1, I'm not the chairman, just the chief of the surveillance team. 2, I want to ask you about those moving statues. And 3, how do you know who I am? Now his mind is just cooked, as they are just not on the same page at all. So clearly he's talking about the first time they met when he found him at the double dungeon. He's like, I knew this hospital looked familiar. I spent 2 weeks here before. They're saying he looks different from his photo. He's like, bro, I just need some time to gather my thoughts. Like, just give me a second. All of his stats and everything are still the same. His appearance is still matured as well. His sister walks in the hospital room like she did the first time. She looking around like, who the fuck is this? Last time his appearance changed gradually. Now it's all at once. He like comparing the height like, bro, I know I'm not tripping. He just playing it off like, nah, you crazy. He says he's going to the Hunter Association so he can give up being a hunter. And he tells her to go back to class because she came to see him during school. And that means you too, Han Sung-yi, don't even think about dropping out to become a hunter. She's just confused like, how does he know my name? Now all he's thinking about is rebuilding his army. And how is this shit even happening right now? It really looks like he came back in time. He goes to get his power measured to be approved as a high-level hunter. They find out that he's an S rank pretty quickly. He just says, all right, good, y'all handle the paperwork. I'm about to go see the chairman. Again, they're confused because why does he know where his office is? And on his way there, he gets in the elevator with this hunter that was killing people for fun. He's just thinking to himself what lies he can make up this time. Jin-Woo says, I know about your stealth skill that you haven't reported yet. And even though you're a high-ranking hunter, you weren't on the list of names that are strictly managed by the association. Now, somebody's gonna come up to you and ask you to avenge their daughter. Now, I'm not interested in what you do with criminals, but if you hurt any innocent hunters during that incident, you will die by my hand. He goes to reach for his daggers, but they're already gone. He says, bro, you only get 1 warning. Bro shit in his pants like, who are you? He don't say shit and just walks off like a ghost. Then he goes in to see the chairman. Bro's low-key just happy because he deadass watched him die in his arms. So Jin-Woo goes in to meet the chairman for the first time. He's really just happy to see him because he watched him die in his arms. He's just saying it's a pleasure to meet the newest S-rank hunter. The way he's looking at him, he asks what's the matter, but he says, nah, it's nothing. Then the system asks him, would you like to restart the world? Accept or decline. Then the conversation continues and Jin-Woo wants to make a deal. He just needs to get back to Jeju Island to build up his shadow army. He asks him to change the rule now so summonings can be counted as members of a team. If you do, then I will take out all the ants on Jeju Island myself. He's like, bro, that's not something to joke about. We failed that mission like 3 times. Then Jin-Woo flexes his presence, saying it's something only I can do. He can sense immediately that he's stronger than a nation-level hunter. How is this shit possible? Then it asks Jin-Woo again, would you like to restart the world? And it starts like replaying all of his memory. From saving Juhi's life, her being the smartest character ever and retiring, the first meeting the ice bear, fighting all the high orc, watching his sister hug his mom, all the moments with Biru, like literally everything. He just sighs like, alright, you cut this out already? I know all of this is an illusion, so stop this charade and reveal yourself. How much longer are you gonna look down from above? And it shows the landscape he was standing on. Shit just completely changes like that. And all the notifications asking if he wants to restart the world start going up in a big ass spiral around him. He asks, who are you? Are you the king of the dead? This is obviously the original Shadow Monarch. He says you can spend an eternity in this world if you desire, and you will never wake up from this happy dream. Bro, are you saying I should stay locked up in this illusion that you created? He says, nah bro, I didn't create this, you did. Your desire to make up for all the mistakes you made helped create this world along with my powers. In short, this is my domain, an eternal repose. I've observed you for far longer than you think, you who so desperately struggled against death, despite always coming so close to it. I am the history of your strife, the evidence of your struggle, and the reward for your suffering. I am your death, your repose, as well as your greatest fear. And in short, I am you. He's back. Inside my domain, you can do anything you set your mind to. He just forms this tree out of nothing. You can turn anyone under my control into yours. And through them, you can absorb my powers. This is only possible inside the domain, but it's a power that can create, destroy, and transform the world. An omnipotent power. He's like, wait, are you saying that I have that power? And he just smiles back at him. And I've been waiting a long time to meet you like this. I am the Shadow Lord, the king of the death, the one with the power of death. I'm the caretaker who rules over the deepest darkness. He asks him, why did it have to be me? He says, I'll show you our beginning and end. Your beginning. So it cuts back to the battlefield, and they're positive that Jinwoo's dead. And everybody can sense that his presence has disappeared. Now there's really nobody left to fight the Monarch. This guy says we gotta go all out now. We can't back down. In the midst of him screaming, something starts happening. But that shadow aura starts emanating from Jinwoo. They can all see the black heart forming in his chest. Oh nah, this can't be. We can't let this happen. They gotta stop Jinwoo's death to prevent the arrival of the real king. But then the beast gets kicked in the face and sent crashing into the Frost Monarch. They both just fly back into this building as a new player has entered the battlefield. It's Jinwoo's dad saying, alright, from this point forward, no one can touch this child.